بس للعلم فقط قبل ما نبدأ إن شاء الله بالمتحدثين اللي عندنا سماعات للترجمة، اللي محتاج سماعة للترجمة موجودات إن شاء الله في الخلف.
If you need any translator headsets, please head on to the back. You will have people available to give them to you just in case.
من المؤكد أن الجلسة الآتية ستشهد حضوراً كبيراً، إذ نعلم تقديركم للإيجابية التي يبثها متحدثنا الآتي في عقول سامعيه، ولذا يعود إلى المسرح الرئيسي ليساعدنا في تحقيق النجاح الكبير لليوم الثاني من المهرجان.
Thank you, Aidan Muhammad. We know that the next session will be one of the most attended sessions because we know that you appreciate positivity that our next speaker brings to the valley of our mind. And that is why we are bringing him back on the stage to help us make day 2 a true success.
فلنرحب بضيفنا المحبوب فيشن لكياني،
Please give a
المدير
round of applause
التنفيذي
for the one
ومؤسس
and only
منصة
Vishen
Mindvalley.
Lakhiani. The stage is yours.
Thank you.
All the best.
Hi, everyone. It is amazing to be back in Sharjah. I always love this event because of the diversity of people I meet here and the amazing minds in the audience. And thank you so much for honoring Mindvalley and giving us such a big presence here at this conference. So what I want to talk about today is using the mind for improving health and well-being. Because entrepreneurs have to think of their body and their health like how athletes think about their health. If you're an entrepreneur, your level of energy, your ability to have your cognition at peak level, your ability to wake up every morning, charge to the office, be in flow states, all matter. And if your health isn't serving you, you're not going to be in your full capacity to serve your mission or your business. So we all know this, but most of us think of health as something that we are blessed with when we are born, and then it slowly trickles away as we age, and we think that illness and disease is something that is unpredictable, that we have no control over. And when it does hit us, the only option is to pop a pill. What I want to share with you guys here are some really fascinating ideas on how your mind can influence your body. But not just your body, but how your mind and how specific exercises with your mind, specifically a technique called imagery therapy, can be harnessed to put yourself not just in healthier states of being, but also increase your flow state so you're more creative at work. Also increase your performance, so whether you're giving a presentation at a board meeting or you're playing tennis, your performance goes up. Now, the techniques I'm going to share are by the late Jose Silva. He was a mind science researcher from Texas. So technically, what you're going to be learning here is a form of Texan meditation. I never thought those two words would come together. But Jose Silva was born in Laredo, Texas, and he was fascinated by biofeedback back in the 50s and 60s. And he started something called the Silva method. It was really popular in the 70s and 80s. I discovered it when I was a teenager, and it changed my life. And today, the Silva method is part of Mindvalley. Mindvalley assembles many great teachers around the world. Jose Silva is one of the pioneers of the mind science movement, and so we're really honored that many of his methods and tactics are now part of Mindvalley. In this presentation, I'm going to speak about one such method called the 3 scenes technique, and how any entrepreneur can apply this in their life to improve health, well-being, and performance. Okay, so first a little bit about Jose Silva. In the 50s and 60s, the word meditation was not known in America. If you said, I meditate, the question you would get back is, oh my God, what cult did you join? But today, meditation is practiced by pretty much people all around the world. The scientific benefits of meditation are huge, but back then, this man was one of the first guys who studied meditation scientifically. And he was able to test it and test his approaches on millions of participants because the Silva method had 12 million graduates. So the techniques were refined and refined over 30 decades. The New York Times covered this way back in the late 1970s. Can man control his mind? And doctors like O. Carl Simonton studied these techniques with patients. Now here's where it gets very interesting, right? We all know our mind can control our health. The question is, to what degree? Dr. O. Carl Simonton, he was a cancer research pioneer. He passed away in 2010. He was a friend of Jose Silva. Silva passed away in 1999. O. Carl Simonton decided to test the technique that I'm about to teach you today on cancer patients. Now, in no way am I saying that this technique can heal cancer, but I want to share with you what Dr. Simonton found. In a study of imagery therapy on cancer patients, so they had about 159 patients who were taught this technique. These patients were given 12 months to live. That means they had terminal cancer. The doctors didn't believe they could survive for more than a year. But at the end, what happened was that 4 years later, practicing this technique, 63 were alive, 14 had their cancer completely disappear, 12 had their cancer regressing, 17 were stable, and the average survival rate doubled. Now, if this could work for people with a terminal disease like cancer, what can it do for normal aches and pains, skin disease, maybe a backache, maybe days when you're feeling less energy? This is some powerful stuff. Now, I became a believer because when I was a teenager, I had really horrible skin disease. So from the age of 14 to 17, I had a really hard time going out. I was made fun of at school. My nickname was Pimple Boy because my face was covered in acne. I remember my mom taking me to dermatologists to try to get treatments, but nothing worked. And so every day I dreaded looking at myself in the mirror. And I tried numerous medicine and nothing had worked. Now I was very fascinated by the mind. And in one of the books I picked up on the mind, I learned that the skin is the organ that's easiest to influence with the mind. Specifically, I read this fascinating case study about how a hypnotist can literally hypnotize you, tell you that you are on a beach in Mexico and that the sun is shining down on you. And within an hour, if he's a good hypnotist, your skin will actually tan. So think about that, tanning on command. So I thought, well, if this is true, can I use my mind to heal my acne? And so I decided to apply Silva's imagery therapy technique. I'd had bad skin for 5 years. In 5 weeks, my skin was healed. And it only took me 15 minutes a day for 5 weeks. And this completely changed my life. It made me a believer in the power of the mind. It's probably one of the reasons that today I founded Mindvalley. And again, the same technique is so powerful. I have to get it out to you guys because you guys need to know this. So, here's where it gets weirder. All right, the Silva method, yes, can be used through imagery therapy to influence the body. But remember, our brain, our body are all connected. If we can influence our body, can we influence our states of mind? Can we put ourselves in states of creativity? Can we increase flow states? So this is another crazy story. And bear with me because it may seem a little bit hard to believe. This book is called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. The book was published in the late 60s, and it instantly became a bestseller. The author, Richard Bach, who wrote this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull sold so many copies. Richard Bach was put on the cover of Time magazine. That is him on the cover of Time magazine. Now here's the funny story. Richard Bach, as he was writing this book, which is basically a metaphor of a seagull learning how to fly, and the book is filled with wisdom on understanding life. He was writing the book, and he couldn't figure out how to finish it. And for 5 years, the book lay in his basement. For 5 years. He attended a Silva class, and he learned a technique to generate creativity. And he said the final chapter came to him in that class itself. he completed the book, he got it out to his publisher, and the book spoke to people in such a way it sold over 1 million copies, putting back on the cover of Time magazine. In an interview with Harper's Magazine, he confessed that it was the Silva class where the idea, the creativity for the final chapter came true. Now, I found this so crazy to believe, right? So I tracked down his daughter, Gauri, and I validated the story with Gauri. And his daughter said, yes, my father had this book lying in his basement for 5 years, and he was crazy about Silva. He would come back from work and teach Gauri, his young child, these methods. And sure enough, these methods led him to completing the book. So again, let's think about this. We can influence our skin, we can influence our health, but with the right technique, we can influence our creativity, our flow states. If you could turn on creativity, if you could put yourself in these powerful flow states, what would you produce? What new idea or invention or patent or book? So I hope you can see that there are huge applications here for entrepreneurs. Now we're going to flash forward to another case study. This young girl attended one of my Mindvalley seminars many years ago, around 2017, and she learned about this technique. She went on to apply this technique to visualize herself winning the US Open. For 3 years, from the age of 16 to 19, Bianca Andreescu visualized herself winning the US Open. And at the age of 19, she did. She won the US Open and beat Serena Williams. And then she was so positive, she went up to Serena Williams to apologize to Serena. So the reporters thought this was really cute. So they went up to this 19-year-old girl and they said, what's up with you? You're so positive. How are you like this? And she said, bring me my phone, bring me my phone. And then she pulled up my book on her phone and said that this was an influence. What she was doing was practicing the very same imagery technique I'm about to teach you. So here we have evidence of someone actually winning the US Open with this technique. So are you guys ready yet? So now you can see, not just healing your health, not just putting you in flow states, but improving athletic ability, improving your body's ability to perform under an arena in extreme stress, to actually compete with the likes of someone like Serena Williams. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is teach you the technique. Now, guys, I don't like motivation. I don't get on stage and teach motivation because you guys are already motivated. You know that you have a great purpose to fulfill. You know that you have a world to change. You are entrepreneurs, so you have this drive to do something. Don't need to motivate you. What I want to do is teach you something really practical that you can take home and apply. Now, I've taught these techniques in large seminars like this. This is in Tallinn, Estonia. Today, the Silva method, we've reduced it to an app. It's part of Mindvalley. What I'm going to teach you is one of the methods, just one of the visualization methods from the Silva method course, and there are 4 components to it. So if you have a journal, you might want to write this down. If not, feel free to take pictures with your phone. I don't have the time here to actually guide you through the method. I'm going to teach you this technique. Take good notes, and when you can, tonight before you go to bed or tomorrow morning, please practice this, okay? So first, before I take you through these 4 steps, I want you to close your eyes and think about if you had the ability to improve your health or well-being, or change your mindset, or improve your performance, what would be the first thing you would apply it for? Could it be correcting a skin issue, as I had? Could it be accelerating your creativity? Could it be improving your performance at a pitch you're about to give? Close your eyes and think about that first thing. Now, I want you to make a mental commitment that tonight, when you get home, or tomorrow morning, you're going to sit up in bed and practice the technique I'm about to teach you applied to that goal. And I want you to just place your hand on your heart and commit to yourself, okay? So now you have a target. That's the key thing. You need a target. Now, this target is a goal. It's a vision of a problem that you want to resolve. You're now going to learn how to apply your subconscious mind to resolving that problem. So first, let's go to step one. Step one is to understand that we live in different levels of mind. So in our modern world, we are trained to believe that life is all about the waking state, right? It's about being alert. But this is actually only one level of mind. There are 4 different levels of mind, and these are measurable using a device called an electroencephalograph. You can measure what is called brainwave frequency. Now, indigenous cultures, and even probably our grandparents, practice functioning in the world in different levels of mind, through prayer, through meditation. In fact, a 1973 study found that 70% of world cultures practice living across different levels of mind. And we've witnessed this. When you see a Sufi dancer, when you see someone in prayer, when you see someone practicing Kung Fu, what they're doing is they're tapping into different levels of mind. But in the modern world, we are told, that's magical thinking. Oh, that's like old-fashioned religion. Don't do that. And so we are actually creating what the anthropologist Bourguignon calls, we are reducing perceptual diversity. We are actually reducing our ability to perceive the world using altered states of mind. And it's important to regain this skill. Now, the important thing to understand is that when you are meditating or when you are praying, your brainwave frequency actually changes to what is called the alpha level. The alpha level is a slowing down in brainwave frequency. And studies show that, for example, if you're an athlete and you are taking part in say, a target shooting with an arrow, an archery competition, for a brief second before you release the arrow, your brainwave goes into alpha. Elite athletes do that. Now, alpha is a slowing down of your brainwave frequency. It's a relaxed state of mind. Scientists who study it find that it has very beneficial effects in your health. But a side effect of alpha is that when you are there, you can program your subconscious. This is what Richard Bach was doing when he programmed his subconscious for a creative ending to his book. This is what Bianca Andreescu was doing when she programmed her subconscious to win the US Open. This is what I was doing when I programmed my subconscious to heal my skin. When you're at alpha, you can program your subconscious just like you can program a computer. Now, you can go deeper. There is a deeper state called theta. This is typically the state of intuition. We won't have time to cover that. Or delta. This is the state that you're in when you sleep. But the important thing to understand is there's nothing magical about this. When you wake up and then you go to bed, your mind is going from beta to alpha, theta, delta. When you wake up in the morning, it's going from delta, asleep, to theta, alpha, beta. Okay, so this is the first step. This visualization technique occurs typically at the alpha or theta level, what we call the meditative or relaxed level of mind. Now, here's the key. You don't need to learn how to meditate. You are already in alpha in the first 5 minutes when you wake up in the morning. This is why the best time to apply this technique is in the morning. You literally wake up, go brush your teeth, use the bathroom, then get back to bed, sit down in bed. You don't have to be cross-legged or anything. Just sit down in bed, maybe put a pillow on top, keep your back straight so you don't fall asleep, and that's when you're going to go into this imagery technique. Now, we've covered step 1, know the states. Now we go to step 2, train yourself to access the states instantly. So, you get to alpha, but you tend to be there only 5 minutes. How do we stay there longer? How do we stay in this relaxed state? And how do we train ourselves to be able to go into this relaxed state? Maybe when you're commuting, or when you're in a car being driven around, or when you're in an airplane, and you can train your mind to do that as well. There are 2 ways. One is you can download the Mindvalley app, and every day on the app there's a free meditation. So if you practice meditating, you learn how to stay at this state. But there's another way, and on the app you just click on the meditation button, and then you will find it there. Now, the second technique is slightly slower, but this is how I learned back in the 80s, before there were smartphones. And it's called the 40-day technique. And it works like this. The first time you try this, when you wake up in the morning, again, you go, you brush your teeth, you get back to bed, and then you sit in your bed, again with your back straight, and you count backwards from 100 to 1. Now, this will take you approximately 3 minutes. It's not long, but it's such a boring act that it'll cause your brain waves to slow down. And when you get to 1, you will be at alpha. Now, you do this for 10 days. Now, as you start doing this, you're actually training your brain to get to the alpha level automatically and faster. So on day 11 to day 20, you only have to count backwards from 50 to 1. Day 21 to 30, only 25 to 1. And by the time you get to day 31, you only have to count backwards from 10 to 1. You've trained your brain to automatically relax by counting backwards. You've actually self-hypnotized yourself. Now this backward counting, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, becomes a trigger that slows down your brainwave frequency. In 10 seconds, you can now get to a relaxed state of mind. You can apply this in many different ways. Let's say there's something stressful happening in work. Just get out of that meeting room, go sit in somewhere quiet, count backwards. Or let's say you want to practice meditating or visualizing while you're in the back seat of a car. You count backwards from 10 to 1. Instantly, your brain locks into that alpha level. And when you're at that alpha level, you're now able to program your consciousness. Okay, now we come to part 3. What do you do when you actually get to these states? So this is where the fun thing happens. So when you actually get to part 3, you now are going to use a visualization device called the mental screen. So the mental screen is a mental imaginary device that Jose Silva found really helped people with imagery therapy. And it basically looks like this. It's a giant television set in front of you. You want to imagine that there's this giant TV. Imagine the largest TV that you can possibly imagine. If you have been in a cinema, you can imagine a giant cinema screen. But the rule is this: it has to be at least 6 feet in front of you, and it has to be 15 degrees above the line of horizon. Why 15 degrees? When you imagine it 15 degrees above the line of horizon, it causes your eyes to go up 15 degrees. And studies show that if you raise your eyes roughly 15 to 20 degrees, it activates alpha wave production in your brain because your eyes are part of your brain. And so you are seeing this giant TV screen directly in front, around 15 to 20 degrees above you. I want you to imagine that right now. Close your eyes. Imagine a giant TV screen in front of you. Make it bigger, like as large as you can. Now, on that giant TV screen, I want you to imagine a beach ball, a colorful beach ball. Now rotate the beach ball. Imagine as if you can rotate that ball. Now I want you to imagine that beach ball floating in the ocean. See the waves making the ball go up and down. Now imagine you are turning up the sound and you can actually hear the sound of the ocean. Can you imagine the ball on the waves going up and down as you also hear the sound of the ocean, the waves crashing against the shore? Now let's add smell. Imagine that this is a special type of television that also emits smell. Can you smell the sea, the salty smell of the sea? Now, if you can, even better. If you can't, don't worry about it. But if you can bring in multiple senses, this process is going to work better. So we've seen a visual sense, the ball floating on the ocean. You've imagined the sound of the ocean. You're imagining you can smell the ocean. Now let's go further. Can you imagine when you're by the beach, there's often a strong wind. Can you imagine the ocean breeze hitting your face? If you can bring in all of those 4 senses, you're on the right path. Okay, now we come to the actual technique. So the actual technique looks like this. It's called the 3 scenes technique. And this is a form of visualization. It's sometimes called creative visualization. When you're applying it to healing, it's called imagery therapy. So it comes by different names, but it's essentially the same thing. And the technique works like this. You're going to see 3 scenes. In the first scene, you're going to see the situation today that you want to heal. You're going to see and feel the pain, and you're going to feel the frustration. So in the case of healing skin, you might see the skin disease. You might feel the pain. You might feel the disappointment you feel as another new pimple emerges on your face. If this was a business project, let's say sales were going down and you couldn't figure out how to get sales up again, you might feel and see the disappointment of revenue going down. You might see it as the form of a revenue chart or your Google Analytics dashboard, but you want to feel the pain as well, momentarily. Now what happens is, you go to the second scene. In the second scene, you see yourself taking some action to remedy the situation. If this was sports, you might see yourself training every day with your coach. If this was a business solution, you might see yourself learning a new skill to remedy the situation, hiring, building a team, pitching, making a sales call, whatever you believe you might want to do. And then you come to the third scene. Now in the third scene, you see the end result. And in the third scene, on the end result, you see and feel the excitement of victory. You see and feel yourself winning the game, closing the deal, completing the book, and you feel that excitement. You feel that bliss. You see other people celebrating with you, and you see how your win is actually improving the lives of other people. Jose Silva said, if you see 2 or more people benefiting, you tend to get better results. So for example, let's say you were applying this to heal back pain, right? What might be a benefit for 2 or more people? Well, if you have grandkids or kids, maybe if you have a better back, you can lift them and play with them in a better way. So you see 2 or more people benefiting. So now you put this 3 scenes together on your mental screen, on that giant TV screen in front of you. And we're going to do this together. Now, here we're going to play with a mental device to train your subconscious. You see, your subconscious thinks of the future as being on the left and the past as being on the right. If you hypnotize someone and you ask them to remember the past, their body moves like that. If you ask them to project to the future, their body moves like this. So this part, which is my left, represents the future. When you see the first scene, the scene of that which you want to solve, you see it in front of you, directly in front. And then you're going to move your mental screen 15 degrees to the left, and this is where you see the second scene, which is the action you're going to take. Then you're going to move it again 15 degrees to the left, and this is where you see the final scene, the third scene, which is the end result. So you guys ready to try it with me? Okay? So I want to do a quick recap, then we're going to do it together, okay? Scene number 1, directly in front of you, you feel the pain. Now, typically if you are trying to heal, say, an injury, you are going to get better. So every time, every day when you go back to repeat this, you will see whatever improvements took place. You don't see the original injury. If the pain went down, you will see the reduced pain. So I hope everyone understands this. You are seeing the improvements taking place. But you want to exaggerate the pain. And I'll explain why in a moment, okay? Exaggerate the pain. You want to build that desire for the resolution. Scene 2 is called the action. You move it 15 degrees to the left. It represents your near future. Here you're going to see yourself taking any baby step to remedy the situation. You don't have to 100% know what to do. Just guess. By doing this, the right answer will come to you. And then the third scene, you feel the joy and the bliss of the issue having resolved itself. You feel the thrill of victory, and you see 2 or more people benefiting. So you guys now have the idea. In a moment, I'm going to show you how to do it for healing. But now, think about that goal that you had. Think about that goal that you put your hand on your heart and you swore you were going to work on tonight or tomorrow. we're going to work on that. And we're going to do this in 3 minutes, super fast, because that's all it takes. So I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to do a 10 to 1 countdown to just get you into that relaxed state. I want you to close your eyes and feel your body relax. As I count downward from 10 to 1, you will feel yourself relax, going deeper and deeper into a relaxed state of mind. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Feel yourself going deeper and relaxing more and more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're now in a relaxed state of mind. Directly in front of you, I want you to see your mental screen. Imagine it as the biggest television screen you've ever laid eyes on. Now on that mental screen, I want you to see the first scene. See the situation that you are seeking to resolve or heal. It could be a business issue. It could be a performance issue. It could be a health issue. I want you to visualize it. See it in full color. If you can, bring in your sense of smell, hearing, touch. I want you to imagine and feel the pain and frustration of this unresolved issue. How does it impact you? How does it frustrate you? How is it frustrating or painful to others, your team, or your family, or your loved ones? Feel the pain. And feel the desire for this to resolve. Now stop. I want you to imagine the scene, the screen going black, as if the TV has been turned off. Now imagine the mental screen moving 15 degrees to your left. Now on this screen, 15 degrees to your left, see yourself taking some action to resolve the issue. You don't have to know the perfect action to take. Guess. See yourself taking some action. It's about showing intent. Could it be a particular therapy? Could it be something you study? Could it be someone whose help you seek? See yourself taking this action enthusiastically, with hope, with commitment. And now, you're going to move the screen again to the left, roughly 15 degrees to the left. And here on this final scene, you're going to see the situation resolving itself. If it's a healing, you're going to see that aspect of your health completely healed. If it's a performance, you're going to see yourself winning the game, delivering the best speech of your life, closing the deal or the sale. If it's an emotional issue, you're going to see yourself having emerged from that issue in your best state of mind. But here, I want you to feel the thrill of victory. Feel the joy, the positivity, the hope of this final scene. And see other people benefiting. Think about your parents or your kids or your spouse or your coworkers. How is your success here benefiting them? and lock into this feeling. Exaggerate the feeling. Exaggerate the joy, the happiness, the excitement. It helps if you smile. And now you're done. Now you can open your eyes and come back to where we are in this room. Okay, so what you did was you practiced this technique in roughly 4 minutes. So that was a really, really, really quick session. Now, if you are actually applying this to goals, that's literally how long it takes. You do not have to spend even 10 minutes in meditation doing that. It happens in a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. If you're applying this for healing, Jose Silva says if it's a serious health issue, then you want to do this 3 times a day until the issue is resolved. But each time, it's maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So when I shared my story and I told you how I'd healed my skin in roughly 5 weeks, 15 minutes a day, I spent 5 minutes each session. It was probably less, closer to 3 minutes, but no more than 5 minutes each session, 3 times a day. So as you can see, it happens really, really, really quick. You do not have to spend hours and hours doing this. The reprogramming of your mind happens in 3 to 4 minutes. But the important thing is, you got to be in a relaxed state of mind. And this is why you must learn to be able to move into these relaxed states through the practice of meditation or through that 40-day technique I showed you, where you're training yourself to lock into the alpha state. Now let's talk about what to do if you are using this for healing. How many of you here, raise your hand, would be interested in learning how to apply this to healing your body or reversing aging? Awesome, quite a bit of you, right? So, when you're doing it for healing, there's a slight adaptation. In scene 1, you see and feel the pain of your ailment. You feel the emotions, you feel the frustration. In scene 2, you see some symbolic or real action taken to create healing. You always work with your doctor. So let's say your doctor is giving you a pill, okay? You imagine in the second scene that as you pop the pill, this pill is going through your body, and then you imagine, you can add symbolism to it. You imagine maybe like this healing light emerging from the pill, healing your ailment. You might even imagine the pill containing tiny little soldiers coming out to battle the flu or the virus that you might have. So you imagine something symbolic for the healing. And then in the final scene, you see yourself completely healed. So, let me tell you I'm going to give you an actual case study of how this works. So there was one student named Tag Powell, and this was a really fascinating case study. So this guy, Tag Powell, had this weird illness in his knee, and it was basically an infection of the knee that caused his knee to balloon to the size of a volleyball. And the doctors had tried to clean it multiple times, but the knee kept ballooning up. And he was very desperate, and he didn't know what to do. So in his visualization, this is how he visualized it. He visualized that as he was taking the medication from the doctor and the medication went into his body, he visualized the medication splitting into knights on white horses, charging towards that giant volleyball-sized tumor and attacking it with spears. And then he visualized that these knights on white horses had satellite laser technology, and that there were these satellites roaming around this giant volleyball on his knee, blasting the tumor with lasers, killing the germs and slowly shrinking the tumor. He did this for several sessions. And one day, he woke up in the morning and he found that there was a giant ball of pus appearing on his knee. And that same day, that ball burst, the pus disappeared, the volleyball shrank, and his knee was restored to normal functioning. Within a week, he was able to go back to playing football with his kids. And that is how powerful this technique could be. The doctors had told him this could never heal. So when you're applying this to healing, you're actually applying symbolism. You are not a medical doctor, at least most of us are not, so you may not know exactly what is the exact medical thing that's happening. So you apply symbolism. When I was doing this to heal my skin, I didn't understand the science of how skin works or how pimples were formed. So what I visualized is I imagined that I was grabbing the sky, and the sky became like a blue cream in my hand, and I applied that across the skin. And as I did, it hardened, and as I pulled it off, it took away all the dead skin. Then I imagined that I was grabbing this green cream from nature, putting it on my face, and then shining a white light with my hand, and as I did, this green cream would blend with my skin and be a healthy new skin. Again, pure symbolism. But your subconscious mind speaks in symbolism. It doesn't understand words. It speaks in symbolism. So your subconscious mind sees this as a corrective action you are asking it to take. And as a result, your body heals. Now the question is, how far can you go with this? Can you heal things that require surgery? So I'm sure you guys have heard of this thing called the placebo effect, right? It shows that for minor aches and pains, if a doctor gives you a sugar pill, it heals the patient. Now, around 20 years ago, one doctor, J.B. Moseley, decided to see how powerful the mind was for healing. So he did an experiment. This was in Virginia, and he took 10 US veterans who had arthritis of the knee. And he told these 10 US veterans, military veterans, that he was going to operate on their knee to heal the arthritis. However, he only operated on 2 people. For 8 veterans, he put them in anesthesia, he stabbed the knee, then he sewed it up, and when they came out of surgery, he told them, congratulations, we did the surgery, and everything went great. Funnily enough, 2 weeks later, all 10 of them healed from arthritis of the knee. Even though only 2 had the surgery, the other 8 simply had their knee cut and were made to believe they had the surgery. So what actually healed them? The mind. So our mind has this powerful impact on our body, and we are just beginning to see how much we can do with it. So you can apply this, yes, to heal your body, to improve performance, to improve flow states or creative states, and it all works with this method. So, quick recap, we covered understanding the states of mind, accessing the alpha level, the mental screen, and utilizing the power. And if you find this interesting, maybe you'll go deeper with me on the Mindvalley stage. And I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you. And don't forget to apply this tomorrow morning in your meditation. Thanks, everyone.